For 60 years now, the Sweetwater Rattlesnake Roundup has brought death to tens of thousands of snakes annually.
Happy Death Day to you.
For a town festival which attracts
Happy Death Day to you.
an international audience and tourists from all around the country alike.
Happy Death Day, dear Sweetwater. Happy Death Day to you.
Several years ago, Urban Jungles Radio famously traveled to Sweetwater, where we were almost arrested on the spot. But that did not stop me from getting amazing footage and learning more about the atrocities that happen. The roundup is organized by the Sweetwater JCs, which are a community organization, and much of the much of the profit goes to local community services. Locals and tourists alike come to the roundup to watch tens of thousands of Western Diamondback Rattlesnakes. The snakes are held in large collection pits, which house thousands of animals at one time. As a matter of fact, there are so many animals in there that volunteers have to walk around the arena, constantly flipping the snakes so that they don't crush each other. There's no real science going on at rattlesnake roundups, but the snakes are collected, measured, and weighed, and in some instances, venom is extracted. Now, the thing is, the venom is extracted from an arena where it's not really a sterile environment, so therefore it cannot go to any kind of medical grade pharmaceuticals. Now just remember, there's absolutely no real science happening at these roundups. I don't care what you hear, I don't care what they say. Some pharmaceutical companies might be buying up the venom, but it cannot be used. It is not medical grade, because in these coliseums, there's things like sawdust and feces in the air, and it is just not usable. One of the biggest reasons there's no real science behind anything that happens at rattlesnake roundups is that there's no source information for where the snakes are collected. As a matter of fact, there's some doubt that some of the snakes are even collected in Texas, because year after year, the roundup has been coming up with less animals. After this part of the roundup, the snakes are collected, decapitated, gutted, and then skinned. If they're not skinned by the Sweetwater JCs, for just $5 you can skin your own snake. That's right, you can skin your own snake. That means someone will help you gut it, skin it, and then you can take home the spoils. Afterwards, don't forget the best part, this is where you're encouraged to take your bloody hands and post them all over the wall behind the death pit. Attendants are encouraged to place their bloodied hands on the wall behind to be signed and commemorated. Don't forget your signature. So it just so happens that this year the Sweetwater JCs mailed out solicitation forms. It seems like their potential buyers are drying up. They are looking for buyers for their rattlesnakes. This is great news for the festival. The Sweetwater Rattlesnake Roundup is one of the last remaining true rattlesnake roundups where the snakes are collected and then killed. At this point, most other rattlesnake roundups have pretty much disappeared or have converted to rattlesnake festivals. At rattlesnake festivals, education is the focus point of the day. Rattlesnake festivals are based a little more on appreciation and education as opposed to killing the snakes and making trinkets out of them. At the end of the day, at Sweetwater, the snakes that are killed are usually turned into trinkets and souvenirs, things like keychains, necklaces, and really bad taxidermy. See, so here's the thing. Over much of their range, the Western Diamondback Rattlesnake is disappearing, mostly due to habitat destruction, fragmentation. Where they used to live, they are now surrounded by towns and roads, and the snakes are having enough trouble adapting to this. Now imagine coming in and being caught for these roundups. Over much of their range, Western Diamondbacks are finding themselves in continual conflict with local people. So of course, a lot of people aren't too sad to see them go. Don't forget how the snakes are captured for these roundups. Essentially what happens is the hunters will locate a rattlesnake den and pour gasoline down the den. The fumes usually overwhelm the animals inside, and as they come out, they're captured. Now, the problem with this is that rattlesnakes don't necessarily always live alone. That habitat is shared with a myriad of things like invertebrates, other reptiles, even amphibians like frogs and toads that are super sensitive to any kind of environmental pollution. Rattlesnakes are a vital part of the environment. Without rattlesnakes, you will see a surge in things like vermin, which can contribute to hantavirus or even the plague. Sadly, a big part of rattlesnake roundups is the business of selling rattlesnakes. Whatever snakes are not killed at the Sweetwater Rattlesnake Roundup are usually forwarded to one of the few remaining rattlesnake roundups in the southern portion of the US to eventually be killed. See, here's the hard part. The profit that comes from this rattlesnake roundup usually gets distributed to the community. It goes to helping everything from the local first aid and fire squad to homeless and drug addiction clinics. So it can be argued that the money is used for good. However, it is blood money. Do not be mistaken. It has been proven time and time again that rattlesnake roundups that have transitioned over to an educational festival will still continue to make a decent profit. As a matter of fact, in some situations, it's actually brought up attendance and brought in more money to the local community. Rattle Sweetwater.